Lewis Hamilton has just dropped a bombshell, so huge, so brutally honest, that it could potentially destroy Ferrari from within. His post-Canadian Grand Prix comments were not just a reaction to another disappointing weekend. They were a naked, raw ultimatum, an ultimatum that something inherently is wrong within Maranello. This is not about one race or even a series of bad showings. No, this is Hamilton uncovering a culture stuck in the past, a system doggedly refusing to evolve, and a team that has completely forgotten how to win in modern-day Formula One. While Red Bull, McLaren, and even Mercedes push limits relentlessly and test, Ferrari are trapped in a vicious cycle, humbled by indecision, communication failures, and strategic disasters. And now, one of F1's all-time biggest motivators isn't playing around. He's talking not in veiled suggestions or diplomatic language, but in naked, hard-edged anger that refuses to be ignored. So don't blink, no matter what. What Hamilton has just done could completely flip Ferrari's 2025 season on its head and redefine his own position within the Scuderia. Make sure to hit subscribe, like, and stay with us until the end, because you wouldn't want to miss a single word of what just came out of Lewis Hamilton. This is where it becomes seriously terrifying. Hamilton's post-Canadian Grand Prix interview statements were not the ramblings of a frustrated driver releasing steam after an underwhelming weekend. This was a systematic and deliberate dismantling of the illusion that Ferrari still has its house in order. It's getting crystal clear. Hamilton's faith in Ferrari is not shattering because of one poor race, but because of a relentless pattern, a pattern of indecision, mum when lucidity is most needed, and a team still reliant on intuition and convention over precision and progress. In Montreal, Hamilton didn't just question the car's performance, he questioned the very structure of Ferrari's race day operations, the inability to interpret data properly, the lack of meaningful communication between driver and engineer, and the fundamental disconnect between the cockpit and the pit wall. These aren't just the growing pains of a new partnership, these are systemic fractures that grow more obvious with every race. Think about it. Nearly halfway through the season, and Hamilton, arguably the most experienced and decorated driver on the grid, is still getting vague, unhelpful responses from his race engineer at critical moments. He's asking basic questions like, "Where's my pace gone?" and getting cryptic replies like, "We're looking into it." That's not miscommunication, that's negligence. Hamilton isn't alone in his criticism. After the race, journalists, former drivers, and insiders began openly questioning how Ferrari, with two elite drivers and what should be a competitive package, could implode again on a weekend that promised so much more. Speculation is swirling that Ferrari's internal feedback loops are so broken, so poorly calibrated, that even live driver input is either dismissed, misunderstood, or outright ignored. And it's not just about Canada. This is the climax of months of rage. Races lost not because of pace, but because of tactical mistakes, miscommunication, and missed upgrade opportunities. Hamilton will know only too well, having left a team where those small things were the difference between victory and loss. But see him now, having to have the same conversations week in, week out, as the team continued to fall back, further and further behind. The worst of his post-race comments wasn't the tone, it was the language. When Hamilton states, "I don't know why we haven't brought upgrades," that is not disappointment. That's a red flag waving over a stressed team. That's not just a complaint, that's an exposure. That's a 7-time world champion telling the world that Ferrari, for all its heritage, still doesn't have the infrastructure in place to respond quickly to a car that clearly needs development in a season where every tenth of a second counts. Ferrari is dragging its feet, and Hamilton has had enough. His words were surgical. He didn't name names. He didn't raise his voice. But the implications were enormous. "There's a lot going on in the background," he said. And you can feel the weight of that sentence, because what's happening behind the scenes isn't just technical, it's cultural, it's structural. And for a team like Ferrari, so obsessed with honor, legacy, and image, having a driver of Hamilton's caliber publicly peel back the curtain is nothing short of a bombshell. What does it say when Hamilton, in just his first season, is already sounding more like an internal reformer than a racer? What does it mean when he's no longer talking about podiums, but about laying foundations for a future rebuild? It means the dream is unraveling fast, and this could have serious consequences, not just for Ferrari's 2025 season, but for their long-term direction. Because when a driver like Hamilton starts to doubt the team's methods, others take notice: sponsors, technical staff, engineers from rival teams. They all pay attention. And what they're seeing now is a Ferrari operation under pressure, publicly exposed and internally unstable. If Ferrari can't respond decisively to what happened in Canada, they risk something even more damaging than another poor result. They risk losing Hamilton's belief once that belief is gone. The real collapse begins not just on the track, but inside the team's very identity, because this wasn't just a race gone wrong. This was the most decorated driver in modern F1, telling the world, this isn't working, not like this. And if Maranello isn't listening now, they may soon find themselves in a crisis far greater than any on-track disappointment. And that's why this moment matters. This bombshell is more than a quote. It's a fault line, and if Ferrari don't stabilize it quickly, everything they've tried to build around Hamilton could come crashing down before it ever truly began. So don't even think about looking away now, because what Lewis Hamilton has just done goes far beyond a frustrated post-race interview. This is a message, a warning, and maybe even a challenge to the very institution he's now a part of, with every carefully chosen word. He hasn't just highlighted Ferrari's cracks, he's driven a spotlight directly into the heart of Maranello, illuminating flaws that have long been whispered about but rarely acknowledged on the record, and that's what makes this moment so pivotal. We're not just witnessing a top driver calling out his team after a disappointing result. We're watching one of the most successful champions in the sport's history publicly demand accountability, demand change, demand answers. And when a voice as respected, experienced, and methodical as Lewis Hamilton's begins to shake the foundation, the entire paddock pays attention. It's not just a question of whether Ferrari will bring upgrades next week or whether their race strategy improves in the next Grand Prix. It's whether Ferrari is even capable of transforming itself into the kind of team that deserves to have someone like Lewis Hamilton in its garage. Because what happened in Canada wasn't isolated. It was symptomatic of something deeper, an operational inertia, a lack of urgency, a culture that Hamilton now seems determined to confront head-on. And if Ferrari refuses to listen now, if they let pride, tradition, or internal politics silence the alarms Hamilton is sounding, then they're not just risking more lost races. They're risking a complete collapse of the one thing they can't afford to lose: credibility. This is about more than just lap times, more than just broken brake pedals and missed strategy calls. This is about the soul of Ferrari, about whether it's willing to evolve or whether it will let history weigh it down until even the brightest talents can no longer carry it. Hamilton has made his stance clearly, firmly, and without theatrics. He's here to lead, but he won't do it blindfolded. He's here to win, but not with a team that refuses to adapt. And after the chaos of Montreal, that path forward is no longer vague. Ferrari now faces a binary choice: change or collapse. So stay with us, because the fallout from this bombshell isn't just gonna play out behind closed doors. It's gonna erupt across every garage, every strategy briefing, and every race weekend for the rest of the season. Make sure you're here for all of it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because if Lewis Hamilton's statement was the spark, then what comes next could be the fire that either forges a new Ferrari or burns the old one down completely.